I agree.
Yeah. So, this is okay. I almost lost my train of thought. I had a question.
Sorry.
This is a selfish question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, how have you managed to know? Because I've kind of struggled with this too, as far as ads go.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to like put money into this to like reach a wider variety of people,
Yep.
but I have felt like when I've done that, it's definitely like a bot situation. So how do you figure out if it's
Mm.
bots or like you're actually getting in front of real people?
Um, to be honest, so I had a mentor that runs a ad agency. His name is Ellie Waves, and mine I learned like some of like the ins and outs of like very very specific type of like ads and targeting specific for um Spotify conversions. But now that I've done it a bunch, I have a pretty decent understanding of it. Um, Usually it's not, when you're running ads, it's not bots, but if your targeting is in certain places, it can feel kind of body, if that makes sense. Like some
Okay.
people like are running, you can get some of the cheapest conversions to like certain third world countries. India is a big one usually. Um, but it's not necessarily botting, but it is like going to be like the lowest engagement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like you can get numbers, you can fluff numbers based on certain things that won't end up yielding anything. And so like I've always been kind of careful to stay away from stuff like that. Like I mean, even back in the day I had done, like I think a lot of people did, like playlisting and stuff for Spotify, which was very very popular back in like 2019, 2020, back in that time frame. Um and like the vast majority of it was botting. And so then a lot of people obviously for obvious reasons moved away from doing that. But yeah, I mean just like more like specific ad strategy. Yeah, it's usually not bots, but it's like if you're not targeting the right stuff, it can be kind of pointless, I guess.
So that's how so like a year ago, I got my Spotify Wrapped for my podcast.
Yep,
And this is obviously like very shortly into it, so I'm not reaching anybody.
sure.
And like Spotify Wraps putting out stuff, and it's like you had the number one music interview podcast in Thailand, and I was like, I don't know how that, but that's probably
Yeah, I
how
mean,
that how that
I mean,
happened
but
because
like
it was probably from that area
for sure.
where
It
like
could
it
have been.
ran.
It could have been like one of
Yeah,
your
I was just thinking
targeted
about that when you
things.
were saying.
Yeah, well, and that
Yeah.
happens. So like even for mine, like a big thing in pop is a lot of people target Southeast Asia because one, it is cheaper. It's not the cheapest, but it converts super well. And then like my organic base in some of those countries in Southeast Asia are literally crazy. Um, and it like if you go look at like some of the biggest artists, they do the same thing. It's like there's a bunch of people like what I was just talking about, like uh, I don't know, I'll pull it up right now. Like Quint 92, I think he probably has
Mhm.
like two or three of his top five um, cities are Southeast Asia because it's like it's super big there, and it let me wait go come on. Um, well, he was a bad example, but I know I've looked it up before for like other people that it's uh they utilize that as like a, I'm not gonna say
Touring.
a boost, but it's just like it's an area that works really well to like give a push algorithmically.
Yeah. And you've kind of recently-ish started touring more yourself. What
Yeah,
have been some of the biggest, whether it's from your tour with Abstract and Dylan or
yeah.
the recent one with Moonlander, what's some of the biggest things that you wish you would have known earlier, I guess, with touring?
Oh man, touring is like its own box of worms. I feel like I would say, well, one thing I'll say is like getting into touring. the reason that I was like very and still am very like it's a very important to me. Very important to me um as a part of like a central part of my business because I genuinely believe, and this is a little bit of an old school thing, but if you build that to the point where you can get people to come out to shows consistently, it's something that is not easily taken away. Um, it's really hard to get to that point, but once you get there, it's like it's just like one of the best safety nets in my opinion for this business. And there's a lot of people that like will do crazy number streaming but can't sell 10 tickets. And then there's a lot of people that aren't doing crazy streaming numbers and you would think don't do crazy numbers at shows but are doing healthy numbers across the
Yeah.
country. And there's a lot more money, and it's not only it's not really money focused for me. It's not like I'm trying to get rich off of it because like dude, if you're trying to do music and get rich, you're in the wrong fucking business. But it is once you get to a certain level, it's for sure the most sustainable way to like carry through like all the ups and downs with algorithms and blah blah blah. But to answer your question, I think I've kind of known this for a long time, but I think like to an outside perspective, I don't know if people understand how expensive it is to get into it. Um, you have to front a lot of money, especially on like some of your first tours, because it's like you're not getting paid, and then you got to pay for all your travel, and you got to pay for all your stuff, and then it's like really the only way in the beginning you get the option to even sniff breaking even is if you're really fucking good at selling merch, which it's like you got to get people there and then you got to get people there that give a shit about you. um it's a grind. It's a grind, but it's like it's a challenge that I like taking. And like you have to get um it's just like a building thing too, right? Because it's like you start with small tours and then eventually you can get use that as like a resume builder to get to medium tours, and then eventually you get to bigger tours where you're getting paid, or you're at least not paying to be there. um yeah, so I think it's that. I would say like the money aspect of it is like it surprises people when you start talking about what it takes to get it done.
Yeah, I think someone that did that like extremely well over the last like 10 years is Mike. I like started listening to Mike like 10 years ago when he was first starting,
Yep,
and he was just touring all the
all the
time.
time.
Anytime you went to go see him, I've been I just went to my 18th show on this last tour, and like you could go
18th
on
of his.
yeah, of his, yeah.
Holy shit.
But you
Holy
could
shit, that's
go,
crazy.
yeah, but you could go to one of his shows and it was just like a party. Like you could bring
Yeah,
friends that didn't know any of his
for
music and it was
sure.
like a great time. And he
Right.
probably didn't even feel like he was working because he was just like going out and partying for the first
Right.
like 8 years of it.
Right.
And it's like, and during that time, he cultivated this group of fans that now will like. He has a clothing brand that's like so huge that I feel like he
Oh
could
yeah.
never make a song again and he'd be good with Steven Seagal.
His clothing brand has outgrown him straight up.
Yeah, it's insane. Like people
There's a
that
lot
don't
of
even
people
know
that
who Mike
have
is
that.
have it.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
100%. 100%. And that's like the goal when you start shit like that.
yeah, I still remember like in college, like so many people giving me shit for like being such a Mike Stud stan. And then like when Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes were using the Chug Bud and like Steph Curry was
Mhm.
using it,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's Mike
Oh
Stud.
yeah,
Mike
dude, he's a
Stud did
goat
that. Like,
for sure. I think another like great example who's like done it extremely well is Prof.
yeah.
I mean, he was like it's like similar. They both kind of bubbled and popped off. I feel like in the last like 3 4 years. But yeah, I mean, Prof's doing crazy numbers across the country now. Crazy
Oh.
numbers.
I know, and he just puts on like a good show. Like I was like,
That's
obviously you can
yeah.
always see him in the Twin Cities. Like I think he's actually coming here like really soon or something. But like there's like a piece of me that wants to go to Red Rocks for that show that he's doing with all those
Mhm.
people, just because I feel like it will be so sick.
Oh,
Like
it'll
he'll
be
just put
lit.
on like a sick show.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
like
yeah. I'm not gonna say depressed. Disappointed is the right probably word that he stopped doing Prof Outdoors.
Yeah,
That's
that
such
was
a small
insane.
split.
Yeah, it got too big. He got too big. He had to
I
stop.
know. Yeah. But I mean, dude, you could fucking do it somewhere. But yeah, I
Yeah.
guess my whole point was is those are people that really put an emphasis on that. Like I heard this thing from I think it was like Taylor Swift's manager or something a long time ago that was like, you want 100,000 fans, you need to shake 100,000 hands. And that's always super stuck with me where it's like that's really what it is. It's like you can have like a thing on a screen or whatever, but they don't really care unless you give them like that. I mean, eventually it grows outside of being intimate, but like that is really where the groundswell, like word of mouth portion of like of your business comes from, is getting out and like physically talking to people and meeting people and just like growing that community. And then eventually those people will go fight for you.